Hey everybody, this video is going to talk about domain and range from the graph of a continuous function. When we look at the graph of a function, okay, first we want to see if it's an entire graph, if it's a partial graph, and then we're going to consider the x values. The x values are our domain, and the range is the y values. So any x values that the graph covers are going to be in our domain, and any y values that our graph covers are going to be in our domain. Now this is a continuous function. So every single one of these x values in between is an input that we can put into our function. So the domain, our x starts at -2 and it goes to 3. Now this is not correct though, because I need to include -2 and 3 into my answer. So the domain for this function goes from -2 all the way to 3. There's my answer. For the range, if I look at the range, my function, I'm going to look all the way down to -infinity, all the way up to +infinity on the y values. My function starts at -1, and that is an output, and it goes all the way up to +1, and then it stops. There are no other values included in the range. Okay, let's go to the next. So for this one, okay, what are our x values and what are our y values? The domain is going to be the x values, the y is going to be the range is going to be the y values. So I also like to think of it as taking the x values from -infinity to infinity and deciding where my function fits in there, right? Which of my x values actually hold for this function? Well, what are my input possibilities? I start at -4, but be careful because this is an open circle. Open circles mean we're not going to include that value in our function. So we're not going to include -4. So we have a parenthesis at -4. And then all of these x values work, right? All the way to 3. And it looks like that's a filled in circle. So I can go from -4 to 3 and include 3, and that's going to be my domain. What about the range? Well, -infinity, I'll go from -infinity. I don't start till -2. Now that's going to be a bracket at -2. Then I'm going to keep going. Now you might get confused with this circle because it's an open circle there, but I do have 1 included here. So I keep going. I'm going to keep going, and then my function doesn't continue after 3. So I'm going to go from -2 to 3, making sure I include those brackets. So that is domain and range from the graph of a continuous function.